Hey everybody, it's Bill Plock with 303 Endurance and my good buddy Pat Mayben, and we're here to talk to you about one thing in particular is our Rum Runner Tour coming up. Gosh, Pat, it's only a little over a month away for our first tour, and the next one's like in the end of January.
Yeah, Bill, and I'm excited about it. I think this year we've had a lot of excitement from riders who rode with us last year. And I think having the two tours this year has been really good for us. Um, I'm excited to be involved with you. I think you're a great partner to have on this thing, and I'm looking forward to having some fun as we show some of these new riders some of the exciting things there are to see in the Keys and the Everglades and alligators and all that kind of stuff that comes along with Florida. So
Maybe a pirate or two. You never know, right?
maybe a pirate or two. So
I mean, exciting for me for 303. We've kind of shifted a little bit this year with still doing some coverage. We were down in Durango just recently for the Sep Coos Parade and the High School Mountain Bike League and all of that. But then we branched off and we started a bike tour with our good friend Zach from Summit Cycle Solutions. And we had Colorado's Ride, which debuted in August in Durango. And then this is a great compliment for us to work with you and develop a really fun following down in Florida with the Florida Keys and the getting out of the winter, so to speak, and get down in Florida and ride bikes for 2 weeks solid overall.
and I think this all thing, I go back, Bill, how it all started. You were part of the very, very first ride down there. And I think we learned that a lot of people from Colorado who are not so much involved in snow sports, for whatever reason, who still like to bike, they see the Keys as really a nice place as a sort of an adventure travel destination in the wintertime. So it's super attractive to people from Colorado, and it's super attractive to a group from Iowa who you and I both know through our connections with RAGBRAI. So I think also, Bill, the weather is so good in December. People ask me, well, isn't that, hurricane season? And the truth is it's not. December and on into January really are Florida's dry seasons. The hurricanes are gone. You get high pressure, you get blue skies, the humidity goes down. So there could not be a better time to be on a bike in Florida than December and January. It just proves up to be the best time to be there.
Well, on our first tour, which starts right at the very beginning of December, it's well, in both cases, we've only got a few slots open. So let's just say that up front. This is, it's almost sold out. So we've got about 4 or 5 place spots for each tour. Let's talk about the dates exactly, and we can keep talking about the tours.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. We have 2 tours. We have a tour that is January 1st. And that particular trip will go through the 8th of January.
You mean December?
8th of December, sorry. And then we have a January ride that starts on the 19th of January, and it goes through the 26th of January. So for us, there's a little bit of time in the middle, but both of those tours are filling up pretty fast. And like you said, we've got about 4 slots open, and we want to keep it kind of small. What we've learned is that it's a lot more fun if the group is cohesive and the participants get to know each other and meet each other. And we really think 20, maybe 22 is kind of the sweet spot. So our target would be, say, 20 to 22 riders, and we're within 4 riders on either one of these trips of filling up pretty fast. So,
well, this is different than, say, Colorado's ride, where, we have a variety of hotels to choose from, or people can camp. We're all going to be together. We've arranged for our hotels. We were just down there a month ago doing that, traveling our route and meeting hotels, and it keeps everybody together. And then if they want to branch out and go have breakfast or lunch, dinner, whatever on their own, they certainly can. But we just deliver everything to one place and leave from one place. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I'll give you an idea of a typical day, and that is that we've published all of our daily routes on Ride with GPS. So all the riders in the morning can see what the day calls for, and they can see where the lunch spot is, and they can see where the rest stops are. And then we provide, I think, a pretty high standard of aid stations and support along the way. We have multiple vans that are patrolling and policing the route. We'll set up a couple of surprises along the way because I think people really enjoy that. But I think a typical day runs, let's call it, 40 to 50 miles, generally 2 aid stations, quick, refueling stops, and then some plan for lunch along the way. We move the luggage every day. That takes the burden off our riders. So the morning for our riders just simply means putting their luggage outside. We'll pick a time for everybody to group up. Do the groups stay together? No, there'll be a split, call it an A group and a B group, but we've accommodated that in our aid station plan. And, we have the ability to shuttle riders if they need. We've also got a fair measure of, like I said, surprises in store. That's the part that's exciting that you and I learned when we were down there. Oh, it seems like just a couple of weeks ago, just finding things that we think will be fun that we're not necessarily sharing with our riders, because I think that surprise element is a lot of fun. So I think we've got some cool things planned. But anyhow, typical day, 40 to 50 miles. The absolute longest day is around 70 miles, but we also offer an alternate route for that day. So the longest day could still be a 40-mile day or a 70-mile day at the rider's choice.
And clearly it's pretty flat. So there's nothing difficult about the riding.
Wicked flat. But, people think it's easy. It's not, because you're pedaling the whole time. It's not like riding in the mountains where you're going uphill and then coasting on the downhill. You're pretty much pedaling the whole time. So at the end of the day, people say, hey, that was a pretty good ride, but it is flat and it's gorgeous, Bill. As you know, you got the ocean on one side, you've got the Gulf of Mexico on the other side. There's a lot of history. We trace the route of the original 1912 railroad that went into Key West, and a lot of that railroad history is still there. Florida's done an incredible job in terms of improving cycling infrastructure along the way. So I'm not going to say it's 100% bike path, but it's a lot of bike path, and a lot of bike path that's adjacent to the road and on top of the old railroad right away. So the surface that we're riding on is great.
Well, and I mean, we can hint at some of our surprise stops. We've got a really cool kind of a country bar in the Everglades. We've got a gallery of a famous photographer. We've got a really fun exploration activity, I'll call it for now, in the Everglades. We've got Robert is Here's world famous fruit stand. We can let that one out of the bag.
That's an amazing place. If you've not been there, you're just not prepared for how cool that is, and you want to get a mango smoothie. There will be alligators along the way too, so we can tease that a little bit. So there's airboats, and there's alligators, and there's parrots, and there's all kinds of critters that you see going through the Everglades. And I think people coming from Colorado are going to be kind of blown away by the amount of wildlife and stuff that you see on that route. We literally go across the Everglades from one side to the other side. It's quite a trip.
Well, and down in the Keys, we've got a few activities planned that'll be fun. A couple of state parks for stops. We've got a sunset cruise. We've got some really fun stuff that people will. I think it'll be a nice balance of riding and relaxing and just having good camaraderie and having some time to yourself.
There could be some rum runners mixed along the way. We have a catamaran sailboat booked for one night. That's always a big hit. And we'll go out on this lovely boat and take a couple of liters of rum runners with us, and makes for a really nice evening. If you like seafood, fresh seafood, there's no place like the Keys for that. Generally, you start a conversation dinner and just ask, what did you get today that's fresh? And they'll ask you how you want it cooked. Right. Grilled is generally the answer. So there's a lot of good eating and a lot of culture and a lot of tiki bars along the way.
Yeah.
Not to mention what I said earlier about alligators in the Everglades.
Well, let's talk some logistics. Where do folks fly into? When do they fly in, and all that good stuff?
Good question. It's the easiest way to describe it is we start on the West Coast and end on the East Coast. So our riders come into Fort Myers. We gather up and spend one night, the first night in Bonita Bay. The ride actually concludes in Key West, and then we shuttle everybody in our vans back up the Keys and take everybody back to Miami. So in terms of booking your flights, best to book into Fort Myers and book out of Miami.
And we do offer a service if somebody has to go round trip out of Fort Myers for an additional shuttle fee. We can build that in if we need to. And some people, people would like to stay in the Keys for a couple of days and play there and make their way back themselves. There's a variety.
Yeah, that's important, Bill, because we purposely ended in Key West on a Friday morning. So that means you could stay Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Key West, which is kind of cool. Or you let us take you and your bike back up to Miami, and then you're in Miami for 3 days. So if you want to tack something on the end of our bike trip, we've purposely ended those trips on a Friday to allow you to do that. And I just wanted also to point out, we transfer luggage, we transfer bike boxes, we transfer your bikes. We have bike shop partners that will allow you to ship a bike down to Florida and have them build it for you. We have a method whereby you can have that bike shipped back to you. We're trying to make it easy, but we think the best way to get some local knowledge is to partner up with these two local bike shops. So we're involved with Naples Cyclery on the West Coast, and we're involved with Mac Cycles on the East Coast in Miami. Both great partners. We worked for them last year as well.
And you can rent a bike from Naples Cyclery, just an FYI on that.
That's a fact. Naples has high-end road bikes, and even though you would be picking that bike up on the West Coast, we'll return it for you back to the West Coast. So that it says if you rent a bike from Naples Cyclery on the West Coast and you end up in Miami, we'll take your bike back to Naples Cyclery for you. They also have e-bikes. So they have quite an array of e-bikes, all of which can be viewed on the Naples Cyclery website, and you can handle your rentals through them as well. So Naples Cyclery might be the best place to look at rentals and also look at e-bikes if that's of interest to you.
Yeah. And then it's also good to note that we'll be in Miami 2 nights.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of cool. So you go ahead, tell me what you're going to do in Miami, Bill, when you're there for 2 days.
I don't know exactly. I mean, we're going to go out on Key Biscayne. We'll do a loop around there, go to that lighthouse that you and I visited, which is super cool.
Yep.
And then I think there'd be more than enough time to maybe go over to South Beach and take a walk on that whole boardwalk area, or do ride over if you really want to, or whatever you want to do. Should have about half a day to just have fun and relax on the beach.
I think that's it. That ride out on Key Biscayne is very cool. And I'll just point out that we're also led on 2 different rides out of Miami by Mac cyclists. So we're hooked up with some of their employees who lead us on this tour, if you will, of Key Biscayne. They take us through some Cuban neighborhoods. We end up with a Cuban coffee breakfast, and we'll see parts of Miami by bike that we would not find on our own. The next day, we leave Miami and we head down to Key Largo, and that departure from Miami is also led by the Mac Cyclist guys. And it's good because they know the cool ways to get out of Miami and avoid the traffic. And then it's just good to be partnered up with them because they're providing us with, if you will, tour guides on 2 of the days that we're in Miami, and proud of that relationship.
Well, and as you mentioned too, some people might want to just start their ride from Robert is Here, which is that world famous fruit stand. It's pretty big. They got a little zoo.
Yeah. When you say it's a fruit stand, that doesn't do it justice.
No,
it's an amazing Florida roadside attraction.
Yeah, for sure. But we can take folks there, and then we can start the day from there. And I think that'll make it about a 40-mile ride. Something like that, 45.
That's right. So if you want to we'll shuttle you out of Miami, take you straight to Robert is Here. And then once there, you'll meet up with the rest of the group. And then pretty soon we're in the Keys. We're in Key Largo pretty shortly after that.
But I will say, driving through Miami which is pretty much the route we'll ride, it's really pretty cool. It does have a pretty neat flavor, that Cuban culture, and it's a good road. I mean, it's not that bad of traffic at all.
Well, and that speaks to what I said earlier. Florida's smart about tourism, and Florida's smart about bicycle tourism as well. And that's why this fairly new and elaborate system of bike trails has come to be. And they take care of the roads. They don't have the weather damage on the roads that we have. Yeah. So the surfaces are generally great for bikes. And there are specific bike lanes, bike trails, all those types of things that make even that part of getting out of Miami, it's not hard, but it's way more fun if you've got a local leading you, if you will, to get us out of Miami. Once you're in the Keys, it's pretty straightforward. You keep going until you hit Key West.
It's
not directions are pretty easy.
Yeah, if you go a little too left or a little too much right, you're going to either see the Gulf or the Caribbean. So
that's a fact. The thing I love about Key West is Key West claims that they're closer to Cuba than they are to the closest Target store.
Yeah, I got to say, I love Key West. I think it's a really cool vibe. It's so different than the rest of the Keys. It's old. It wasn't that long ago when it was the largest city in Florida, when there was no transportation to it. It was all boat transportation. It's got a cool vibe.
It is. I know that you're a big fan, and I know that you get it, and I appreciate that about you. I feel the same way. There's no place in America like Key West, and there's nothing cooler than coming into the city on a bike. Key West is bike friendly. Most everybody who lives in Key West year round has a bike. So bikes are a big part of the transportation in Key West. So Key West is a bike friendly town, and that approach into Key West is beautiful.
And the food down there is great.
And the food's amazing. Like I said, it's like fresh fish, however you want it done.
Yeah. So, well, how do they learn more? Go to our website, right?
Well, that's exactly right. There's a website that's listed, and it's a little bit confusing because the dates on that website only refer to the January tour, but the tours are identical. So you just have to swap the dates, but the daily routes, the ride with GPS maps, everything about the two tours is identical with the exception of the dates. And that website is simply rumrunnertour.com. I'll say that again, rumrunnertour.com. So that'll answer a lot of questions. There's also a mechanism for registration on that site. And also, you and I are easily reachable with questions, or you can email us at info@rumrunnertour.com. I'll say again, info@rumrunnertour.com, and we'll respond quickly.
Yep. Anything else we need to talk about, Pat?
No, let's have fun. I can't believe it's coming up fast. People ask, well, what should I pack? The answer is shorts and flip-flops and bike clothes.
Yep. Although you might put one light layer jacket in there just in case.
You're right. It's like a long sleeve t-shirt, maybe for the evening after you've been out in the sun for a while. Certainly bring a swimsuit because there's ample pool time available to you. There's beaches on the Gulf side. There's beaches on the Atlantic side. So, but it's pretty much you're packing for a bike trip and then bringing shorts and t-shirts. I would not bring, a vest or a hoodie. You don't need it. It's going to be warm even in January.
Yep. Cool, my friend. Well, I know I'll see you soon, and I'm looking forward to this ride in a few weeks. So
me too, Bill. I can't be more excited than I am to have you as a partner on this thing. And I'll just say straight away, it is so important. And you and I went down there a couple of weeks ago and rode and drove the course and figured out some fun stuff to do. Right. So I think it's invaluable to the fun factor of this whole thing that you and I were just there.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, we'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Rum Runner.
Absolutely.
All right. You take care. I'll see you later, Bill.
Okay.